Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery, where we learn to move with purpose and live with power. This is your space for healing, for growth, for the questions that shape you and the truth that you know. We use the tools that are ancient, still working today, to steady the heart and light up the way. Breathe in, tune in, come back to center. One step, one choice, you can always get better. Master yourself, master your life. Walk in your truth and breathe through the fight. Master yourself, stay awake, stay clear. Eugene Holden's Academy is right here. Let's begin together.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery. Obviously, I am Eugene Holden, and with me this month has been the Reverend Charin Barone. Hello there, Charin.
Greetings.
And today we have as a special guest my dear, dear brother, Rodney Gittens, who is the spiritual director, the spiritual leader, the senior minister at One Love Centers for Spiritual Living in the beautiful place that we call Brooklyn, New York. Brother, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. I'm so awesome to be in such divine company here. And blessings to each and every one receiving this.
So Rodney, Sharon and I did a show just a few days ago with another guest, another special guest, and I wanted to continue this conversation, and it's because it's a really good one. So let me just set this up. So it's entitled basically "Truth and Reconciliation: Bridging the Inner Divide." So Brother Troy was saying that it feels like we're living through our own kind of civil war. Instead of one country, one people, we're divided. We're divided. Physically, financially, socially, ethically, generationally, and spiritually. Everywhere you look, people are stoking division for personal gain. Add in that even technology feels like an existential threat. We're overwhelmed and it's exhausting. This is what Troy is saying. And he continues to go on. But I also know that things are coming to an end. Everything eventually resolves. Right now, Troy feels like there's light at the end of the tunnel as his current political fever burns itself out. So, the question is, how do we heal? How do we reconcile with people whose values, whose beliefs, whose words and actions feel completely opposite from our own? How do we do this without losing our internal sense of justice, morality, spirit, and self? Right? With all of this that's going on, and thank you, Troy, Mr. Troy Browning, for bringing this up, right? And I felt that the one show that we did last time, the last one, this just wasn't enough time, or I just wanted to get another perspective, let me say it like that, because it is something that we are all experiencing, and it can feel very, what was the word? Overwhelming. It can feel like that. And I love the question, how do we heal all of that without losing our own internal sense of justice, morality, spirit, and self?
Well, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Let's jump into that. The first thing that jumps out at me is the word we. Who are we talking about? And from an individual basis, there's like looking at what each of us can do individually and then we collectively, what we can do as a community, however large or small that community may be. So, looking at it individually, Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, reminds us that we should not have our mind divided against itself. To me, which is so critical in healing ourselves, because it has to start with us individually before. I mean, it's like each one teach one kind of thing, and so I am setting an example by being single-mindedly knowing the truth that we are all one, that we're all in this together, and not picking sides, which is more of division, but just sticking with an essential truth that yes, there's one life, and we're all of this one life, and whatever it is that any one of us does, it affects another. And so I think once we can kind of pair off like uh,
Like pairing,
release.
like pairing a carrot.
Right,
Mhm,
right.
mhm,
Get all that
mhm.
stuff from the outside off, all of the different false beliefs and egotistical thoughts, beliefs, and actions, and just get to a basic truth. Hey, have our basic needs met, and what can we do? What can I do to provide that, for myself, and then for spread, widen the circle, the frequency, the energy of the community. But first, I have to be single-minded in purpose, and that purpose is for me to stand fast in knowing the truth,
Mhm.
and without judgment, without judging anybody else for who they are
Well,
and what
that's a
they do.
hard one there, buddy.
It's work. It's
Yeah.
work.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
we got to do the work. We have to peel off all that is not the truth about who I am. And in doing so, I'll see that in another. I'll get to their truth as well,
mhm.
that we are all one, regardless of the outside. I mean, I was just always so amazed when I heard that our skin color is like such a small percentage of our
Right,
makeup. It's
right.
Mhm,
it's like
mhm.
imperceptible on the scale, but we make such a big thing out of it. That's the
Right.
stuff we have to get rid of.
Yeah.
Then Eugene, can I
Please.
have a question. You know me, I always have a question. Collectively, between the three of us, we probably have 60, 70 years in science of mind and religious science, because I go way back to the 90s and all of that. And I understood perfectly what you said, that, what Ernest, in that quote of Ernest Holmes, of that one mind. My question is this. I know lots and lots of people. Yeah, they've known that I've been a minister for all these years, blah, 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 blah. But I know other people who have no idea about that oneness. All that they can see is what they don't have. How do we communicate, or they're not enough? They don't have that you and I have been schooled and felt for all of these years. How does one approach that? I'll give an example. Let's say it's our neighbor and he keeps doing, I say it's a he, could be a she, but he keeps doing annoying things. And I've been kind and I said, oh, please don't leave the trash there, blah, 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 blah. And then next week he does the very same thing. So then I gave kindness, I gave generosity, and I felt like I was giving grace. And then one day I couldn't. So how do we deal with someone on a very practical level? How do we deal with someone that doesn't know what you and Eugene and I know and the others in this movement?
That's a great question, right? And for how I answer that is that before we stepped into our first new thought surroundings, we may have been going through whatever we were going through as well, correct? Until we got
Mhm.
to a point that says something has to change.
Mhm.
right? So going back to what Brother Rodney was saying in terms of on the individual basis, that person has to want to change. Now,
Mm.
what do I do is let me be, and Rodney brought this up, let me be the example. You know, one of the experiences that I had many years ago is after I began to transform my life, people were coming up to me going, "What are you doing? You're not the same person."
Mhm.
Now, okay, now that they have come to me, now I can say what I have been doing, and you ought to check this out, right? But I'm very clear that I can't make a person do a darn thing, right? We can lead a horse to water, and that trough can be gilded with gold, but we can't make it drink. All
Mhm.
I can do is be the example. And I want to speak to what Reverend Rodney was saying, you know, which we are we speaking about, right? Because um where is it at? Where's it at? Where okay, we are divided. Well, see, that's just it, right? If if we say so,
Ah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
well, life sucks. Okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing, right? That's the power of our word. That's the power of our the way that we are have I love this, right? That we have been crafted so beautifully that we get to create what we want to experience. God, my life is so hard. If you say so,
Yeah.
say something else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, there, Roddy,
Mhm.
you brought up something else with that great word, and I'm gonna place it in the sentence. How do we heal without losing our internal sense of justice and morality, spirit, and self? And how do we heal without judgment?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it's interesting because judgment on some level is necessary. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just don't make a judgment about the judgment, you know?
I like that. Yes. Mm.
It's like, yeah, I'm judging distance. Maybe I don't want to walk all the way there, or maybe there's a hole and I need to be aware. And so I think we use judgment to enhance our awareness,
Come on.
to enhance, what is true. And at that point, that's where it ends.
Mhm. Mhm.
And thank you, Eugene, for that because um, morality sometimes hinges on judgment. All of that is where I just have to arrest the ego. Just
Mm,
lock it up. Because
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, it can help. It can be helpful,
right.
but like I always say, don't give ego the keys to the car. Let it be in the passenger seat, but don't
Exactly.
give it the keys. Because it's like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. And once that ego is run amok, then everything is out the window. Then we have the problems of the world. Through politics, and
Mhm.
primarily it's and it all feeds into fear.
Mhm.
I think once we can rest in a positive faith in positive things, because faith
Mhm.
works, which is like a law. If you believe in a negative,
That's
it's
right.
gonna faithfully
Mhm.
deliver.
Mhm.
That's right. It's
So
going
we
to
have to
faithfully
faithfully,
deliver. I love that.
yeah, we
Mhm.
have to faithfully believe in that love is the answer. That all needs are met, not having not having to try to deny anybody else or take from somebody else. Those are the ways in which we can morally uh, create the change that we want to experience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And of course, it
Mhm.
starts with us. Again, it's
Mhm.
always what an inside job
Yes.
that change. And like your neighbor, Sharon,
Mhm.
they'll get it, or maybe their family member will get it, and then they'll start to stand out and start to look at
Mhm.
themselves,
Mhm.
and then there'll be a catalyst for change, as long as that catalyst is engaged, it's empowered, it's
Mhm.
used. I One of my things I'm working on is when I'm driving. And I did it to myself. I said, you know what? If anything comes up, I'm just going to bless people. You
Mm.
know, like they cut me off, I'm just going to bless them. Well, don't you
Mhm.
know, I have created plenty of opportunities to bless people, you know, because
That's
that's how the
right.
law works, you
Yeah.
know. So I created an intention, and for that intention to be fulfilled, then, you know, there was somebody had to like, oh, I volunteer, I'll cut you off. I'm waiting for my blessing, you know.
Mm.
And so I
Yeah.
think when we have these issues coming up, like
Mm.
Reverend Eugene was talking about, and what you mentioned, the how is, well, we're not really divided, so
Right.
we have a belief in the divided,
Right.
and how do we eliminate what that as a reality? And that
Mhm.
is, I mean, it's so, I think it's so slippery because we're not
Mm.
Mm.
denying that that it's showing up, that it's
Right.
existing.
Right.
We're disempowering the belief in it so it can dissipate. You
Mhm.
know, so I
Mhm.
have to start believing that, well, nobody really wants to cut me off. You know, nobody wants to cut me. You know, if it happens, it happens. Except, how am I creating a space for that to happen? By
Yeah.
believing
Yeah.
that as a power that
That
can
and
therefore have me to want to pray it away.
Mm. Mm.
So, you know, yeah, go ahead.
So years ago, I took my Christian communication and homiletics from Dr. Robert Schuller down at the Crystal
Okay.
Cathedral.
Yeah.
There were 18 men and one woman. That was me.
Wow.
And I didn't feel intimidated because I know how to speak up for me. But anyway, what I and he was talking about, and I learned so much from this gracious, extraordinary man. And one of the things that he said, you know how he built the Crystal Cathedral and the whole history of that. And he said, I don't care what kind of business you are going to build, whether it's a ministry or a grocery store or whatever. But he said, this is the most important part that I always want you to remember. He said, find a need and fill it.
Mm.
And I'm just going to want to piggyback right on what you said, because that let's find a need within our neighborhood, within ourselves that needs to be filled, like kindness and generosity. And let's not let that judgment stop us, because what I heard and felt from you when you were speaking, Rodney, was this, that if we stay in our judgment, and for me, this is just for me, if I continue to stay in my judgment, guess what? I'm just going to get more judgment and more judgment. Is that the need that I want to fulfill within myself? Oh, hell no, it's not.
Yeah.
No way,
Yeah.
no how. So I like piggybacking on, what we did with Troy, to say that with inside our lives, let's find a need and fill it first right here. Then we go out into our community, our centers, our shopping at Ralph's or Joe, wherever we go, Trader Joe's, and bring that to it. And that's how we can heal that gap, I think. Not
Yeah.
I think, I know. There's no thinking about it. You
M-
know,
My
that.
my dear Sharon, thank you so very much for that. Because it reminds me of this. My dear friend, my beautiful friend Ricky Byers, has this chant. Ricky's music, all of her music is great. She has this chant that I would sing every day for the longest time when I would wake up or as I'm getting ready for the day. And the lyrics are, how can I serve today, sweet spirit? How can I serve today?
Mhm.
Speak in ways that I may understand. Where you lead me, I will follow. Where you lead me, I will go. And then the second you change up, how can I love today, sweet spirit, right? But speak in ways that I may understand. And I love that because that could come up just through hearing a conversation or just not tuning into the conversation, but hearing something that goes, oh, I can serve in this way.
Mhm.
Because the thing about it as human beings, we are really here to serve. We love helping. We really do. It's our natural tendency. It really is. And I want to go back to what Reverend Rodney was saying as well is, love, as his center is called, it's one love. Now, love is not a wishy-washy, mealy-mouth, soft thing. It can be and all of that, but love is strong. And one of the things I say, to clients is, do you love yourself? Mm-mm. Can you love yourself enough to quit complaining about yourself?
Mm. Wow.
Yes.
Woo.
Do you love
Ooh.
yourself enough to stop doing the stuff that doesn't work?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because love is strong. And when we go to scripture, right? Perfect love casts out all fear,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
And one of the definitions for perfect is all inclusive.
mhm.
So check that out, right? All inclusive love casts out all fear.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
So so what I want to put out to the people on this question is, how much do you love yourself? Do you love yourself enough to stop complaining about the other person?
Mm.
Because complaining doesn't feel good. The body doesn't feel good,
That's right.
Mhm,
right? And it's harmful. It truly is.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
That is a great question. And now, I mean, I firmly believe that the answer to any question is love. Uh,
Aha. Mhm,
and so when we ask ourselves that, it's really an opportunity to pause.
Yeah.
mhm,
And even if we can't do anything about the past,
Right.
it gets us looking in the present moment. Okay, how can I be loved, in any and all situations? Now, again, we started off talking about the inner work,
mhm.
loving myself, like,
Right.
I love myself so much that
I
I
could
don't
love
need
you
to
so
see
much.
anything to complain about. That's right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Aha. Oh, I love that connection. If I love myself so much, then I don't see anything to complain about. There is no lack. I have more than enough money or more than enough love or relationship. If I'm loving myself, wow, that was nice
I
bridging.
have a very close friend in my life who tends to used to complain a lot, right? And I said, so because I wanted to put it in a way where they didn't get deep defensive, right? So I'm like, so are you happy? Because happy people don't complain.
Mm.
Think about that, right?
Hmm.
When you're in joy, when you're happy, what do you have to complain about? When you're
Hmm.
grateful, what do you have to complain about? Nothing. Now,
Hmm.
that's not to say that we ignore what's going on in this beautiful country of ours. One of the things that I like to say that I've said in the past is, I'm not ignorant to what's going on. I just ignore that it has any power over my life.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
forget that. No, you're not the boss of me because I get to choose how I think about this.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
And I always have said for the longest time, we have heard for years, and I've said this on the show a few times before. The question is, what's ours to do, what's mine to
Mhm.
do. And for me, that's the second question. My first question to me is,
Mhm.
who am I to be in
Right.
whatever's going on? And then when I really connect in who I am to be, whatever the situation is, because I may be called to be show up different ways for different things, but once I'm clear in who I am to be, that informs what's mine to do.
Hmm.
Right.
Powerful.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, it's like, you know what? Yeah, and the world needs more of us who are willing to love enough to say, you know what? I'm not going there. I'm not going down that path. I'm not
Hmm.
doing that. I'm not complaining about. I'm going to bless it.
Mhm.
Bless them.
Yeah.
You know.
And that really does dovetail with find a need and fill it. First of
Yeah.
all, it's what be that love, and then that informs us of who we are and what we get to do next.
Yeah.
You know, be that be that supply that is ever giving, that's right here and right now. Be that supply. And we have, no, we don't have, we must be willing to be able to receive it.
Yeah.
It's always calling us through our trials, our
Right.
tribulations. It's always calling us. Are we willing? Are
Calling
we
us
willing?
higher, calling us
Mhm.
higher. And
Mhm.
I think that's what's going on in the world, and I'm going to say specifically the nation right now. We're being called to something higher.
Mhm.
The old regime
Amen to
has
that.
been dying off for a long time, and it's fighting
Mhm.
tooth and nail, tooth
Mhm.
and nail. So, and we just keep showing up with toothpaste and nail polish.
I love it. Yes. Mhm.
That's
And
Mhm.
I just want to say, I know you're right, and so much of it, I mean, everything, all the change that has ever occurred in human life, starts with imagination.
come on now.
And
Mhm.
and as I sit here and in our discussion, I'm imagining just that world, just
Yeah,
how, that drop of water,
Mhm.
that
yeah,
little
Mhm.
drop by drop is creating the change by this
that's right.
discussion, by the people who are watching this, by
That's
the
right.
people who are sharing this,
Come on.
by all of
Mhm.
you who are maybe not even going to act on it yet. However, it's there. The
Right.
drop has been planted, the seed is planted, and that thought, that energy about it makes a difference. And I think
Mhm.
that's also one of the answers is what is like keep fresh in our mind,
Mm, mm,
this truth that yes, I am making a difference, just not only in my life, but in all of life, because
yeah,
that's what we say. There's only one life.
yeah,
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
as all these other layers start falling away, I mean, there's I don't know how many billions of people on the planet. Yeah, so bit by bit, there is a greater truth being the truth being revealed.
hmm,
Mhm.
And so that will end the wars, that will end conflict, that will end, judgments, that adversely affect each other.
yeah,
So I firmly believe that how we get to do it, we do it individually and
yeah,
slowly but surely it infects, it invests itself in our communities,
yeah,
however small that is, and the
Mhm.
ripples will go in all directions simultaneously,
yeah,
and bit by bit, pick each one will pick it up, and
yeah.
and and I know for myself, yeah, I guess growing up, I was told, "Oh, you're going to learn the hard way," and I had to adopt that as my motto. But for a
You're
while,
right. You're right.
until I learned another way.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I was ready, like Reverend Jean was saying. So we have to be ready to receive, this the information, the education,
Mhm.
in order to internalize it and then have it ripple outwards. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Reverend Rodney, you just reminded me of something, and it goes back to loving of self, right? And I was reminded of when it started to change for me, getting up, going to work, doing the same thing, coming home, going to bed, getting up, right? And it's like, okay, there must be more to life than this. And starting to tune into whatever that was, it's like there must be more. So do I love myself enough, number one, to ask the question, what is that more? And then do I love myself enough to listen for the answer?
Yeah.
And then do I love myself enough to take the actions? Like, okay, I hear you, but I'm not doing that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, then stay miserable, for me. That's where I was. It's like I can't do this anymore. And it was a great job, but it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? Do I
Yeah.
love myself enough to make a change? Even when this paycheck is coming in every two weeks, but I'm
Mhm.
miserable.
Mhm.
Do I
Mhm.
love? Oh, really? Do I love myself enough to walk away from this relationship that I know doesn't work?
Mhm.
Going back to
Mhm.
what Reverend Rodney said, it's an inside job.
Mhm.
See, it's interesting because the things that we see going on, and I'm specifically staying with the USA. what we see going on within the nation is really for a lot of people what's going on within themselves.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
just an out picturing.
It's a reflection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
of things that are calling to be healed.
Mm. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we have already set that intention, by how is that piss off?
Pisosity.
Yes. And then realizing, well, okay, I don't like that, and then try to choose the opposite, and that gets us in position, for change to occur. However, like you're saying, um, it's like I have to dare myself. I dare myself to ask the question, about, am I loving myself enough?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's a dare.
Right.
Mhm.
I dare you to love yourself.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to do that in the mirror. I'm going to do my mirror work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That mirror
dare
work
me.
is powerful.
Yeah.
That mirror work is powerful. It's been my experience, Rodney, Reverend Rodney, and Reverend Sharon, that
Mhm.
giving that as an assignment in a workshop. And I say now to the men,
Mhm.
right? Because it's hard for men to look in the mirror and go, I love you. Now, I
Mhm.
made the mistake one time and I haven't done it since. I'm like, it's easy for women to look in the mirror because they're always in the mirror, putting on their eyebrow. Boy, did I get scolded for that one. I'm like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
put on the lipstick. So they're always in the mirror. It's easier for them to do that. However, and this is what I'm going to give to everybody who's watching in terms of an assignment for the next 7 days. Look here at yourself in the mirror
Mhm.
and looking at yourself in your eyes and say, I love you.
Mhm.
I adore you. I appreciate you. And keep doing that. Now, at first, for some of us, it may not feel comfortable, but that's okay. That's the ego going, oh, hell no. He's he's
Mhm. Mhm.
changing. They're changing. They're,
Right.
they're they're making a shift. So what? I love you anyway. So that's what I want to give to everybody as we bring this to a close. Do the
Well,
mirror work for 7 days. Okay, I'm going to add one more with that. For the next 7 days, no complaining.
hmm
Amen. Amen.
I did that. I got to tell you, and it's a wonderful practice. And in both instances, no judgment.
No judgment.
Mhm.
Yes.
No
Mhm.
judgment, good or bad.
Right. Right. That's right.
Yeah,
Just as is.
just let it
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
And
Thank you.
Reverend Rodney, this is what I love about being on the Academy of Self Mastery with that lower case S. There's there are these tools. Eugene is profound at giving these tools for whatever it is. And to me, that is one step at a time. We little by little, that's how we make a difference. That's how we change
Yeah.
our lives. That's how we respond to the world. So I feel really blessed to be a part of the Academy of Self Mastery and knowing Eugene and now you, Reverend Rodney, because together we make a difference.
Yeah, we do.
Amen. Right on.
Mhm.
Amen. Right on. The church of what's happening now. My brother, Reverend Rodney Gittens, what would you like to leave the folks with today?
Well, most certainly, I want to say thank you again for the invitation, Academy of Self Mastery. I think it's a wonderful thing. Everybody follow and tell a friend. And as you're telling a friend, let them know that you're working on your homework assignment, but also recognize love within yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Take the time, take the moment. You're worth it. You're worth it, and it is fulfilling. And that's what I'm looking to share. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
Any last words from you, Reverend CB?
I will say this on a practical level. I'm going to be will for whatever comes up in your life this week as you're practicing these exercises that Eugene just gave us. Be willing to hear it in an honest way. Be willing to hear it, and then say, oh, I can change, because if it's something you don't like, be willing to make the change, because when we are willing, we can transcend so many judgments in our world, that we're willing to see that neighbor as a child of God. We're willing to see, it in a different way. And this is how we make a better world.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, I want to thank my co-host for this month, the month of May. Wow, which is over. The Reverend Charin Barone. Thank you so much for being here. And then I want to thank my brother, Reverend Rodney Gittens from Brooklyn, New York. Thank you for saying yes, man. Mm-hmm. And thank you, brother, for being in my life too, dude.
Same here. Thank you.
You can catch Reverend Rodney Gittens' service on Sunday at what time?
At 12:15 Eastern Time, Facebook and YouTube. Just put in One Love Center for Spiritual Living, and it'll pop up, and you'll see us. We're not doing in person; it's all online now. And so YouTube or Facebook Live, One Love Center for Spiritual Living. We'd love to have you. Thank you. 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, 12:15 Eastern Time.
Yes.
12:15 p.m. Don't be up early in the morning at 12 a.m. All right. Thank you, everybody. And as I always say, and I was looking at Rodney when he said these same words: tell a friend, be a friend, and share it with a friend. Mm-hmm. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. Mm-hmm.